Hey guys, so when you're out traveling and you see things of interest, oftentimes you'll come across statues and you see the statue, you're like, "Chick, chick, 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 chick." And do you ever really think about how to shoot the statue? Or do you just take the shot because, hey, there's a statue, there's a famous person, there's a monument, there's an icon, let's take the shot. So let's figure it out.
Click, 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 click and a pick it. Click, 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 click and a pick it. Click, 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 click and a pick it. Click, click, click.
Hey guys, Vern Danke, the Click and Picket guy. Welcome back. And today we're going to do a statue photo critique. And I'm going to take you from some of the very early photos that I've taken of statues, show you why they don't look good, why things do look good, and things I could have improved upon. And then I'm going to teach you how I tend to look at photos in more of an isolation type photo approach. And also I'll take you all the way through some of the different art edits that I use statues for to make some of my fine art prints. All right, so let's check it out. All right, so let's go over some of these shots. Now, these first few shots are some of my very first shots with a DSLR. And so we're going way back in the time machine here. Not too far, but far enough back that you'll see that I've come a long ways. Now, this first shot is typical of how people will shoot a statue. They'll try to get the whole statue in the image. Now, one tip, looking at my edit here, I should have left more breathing room around the tail. I should have gone farther back and then cropped it in to make it more balanced. It's balanced here, but there's no breathing room at the tail, and it just seems kind of abrupt to stop here. So try to give a little breathing room that's equal distance around the sides if you can. Now, this is a typical shot, but the face doesn't seem as in focus as the horse does. So I should have went with a higher f-stop number, and I also should have made sure that I had good pinpoint focus on the face. But back at this time, I hadn't taken a lot of photos of the same subject. I'd just try to get one good shot, click, and I'd walk away. So it wasn't so much for a photography contest more than it was, oh, there's a cool statue, click, let's go to something else. And so as you grow, you can look back and you can share your experiences from what you've gained. Now, one good thing that I did here is I did try to isolate it into a scene. And you look at how much stronger this looks versus the old photo. Now, the only thing bad about shooting this outdoor image was it was in the full noonday sun, and a lot of the horse is overexposed. And if I knew better back then, I would have underexposed at least a full stop, and then it would have been easier to edit. And there's still a little bit of grain in the shot. So one of the other things is I'm going to go back to this statue and I'm going to take some really good shots because it's not far from my house, and I'm going to find out what the best time for the sun that gives this image the best quality would be. And so that's kind of in my future. That's one of the things that I plan to do, to go back and redo this shot. But it is a powerful photo. It's a strong, striking type statue. This horse is really aggressive looking. This guy's got a gun in his hand and he's ready to take off. So there's a lot of energy to this photo. All right, so let's go to the next one. So now this is an example of what I did do and what I didn't do when I was first shooting statues. What I should have done is chosen a low f-stop number and blown out the background in this shot. Now, this shot was kind of a difficult shot because it was on a platform with 4 other statues all crammed together, so it was really hard to isolate it. Now, I could have photoshopped out the other little bits and pieces in the corners of this photo, knowing what I know now, and I probably would have shortened up this photo to not be so wide. It would have given it more of a strong impact. But it isn't a super good photo, but it's a learning tool of what I know now and what I can teach you of what we can do differently that would be better. All right, and this is kind of the same thing. This is the same type statue on the same platform next to the other diving statue. And this is a better edit, but I should have cropped it on this side and made this closer to the back of the man. Then I would have cut out the little part of the statue and it would have been a stronger image. But yet the quality of the bokeh, it's full sun. It could be a lot better. But the composition looks okay. If I just were to make the photo, crop it in a little bit tighter on the left side. Other than that, it's an interesting image. Okay, so now this is kind of a classic bust shot. Now I had to shoot this through a fence because this was all gated, so I didn't have a lot of options of how to shoot this. But if you're going to shoot a statue or a bust and it's near something historic or behind or in front of, try to capture those elements. Now, one thing that I did do good on this was the statue is in focus and the rest is kind of blown out. So it gives the statue more impact, but it's not so blown out that you can't tell that it's old and historic. So that's kind of a good balance. It isn't an amazing shot, but it's a usable shot. All right. So I took a photography class at the university, and I started to look at things a little bit differently. And I started to look at how to notice a photo for the energy and dynamics that it has, and how to capture that in more of a cropped version than trying to always get the full item, the full statue, the full bust, whatever it is. And it gives it so much more dynamics. And then I started adding some different filters and trying to play with that to give it some dynamics. Because a lot of statue shots just by themselves, they're not very dynamic, they don't have much feeling to them. It's just kind of a cold, plain statue. But this kind of faded out, gives it a little bit more of I don't know, maybe a romantic type thing. And you can see how it kind of goes to the corners of the frame, and it works well. All right, so let's go to another one. And there were some very playful statues on the grounds here, and what I love about this is try to capture a shadow of your statuary, and it just makes it for so much more of an impact. All right, and then the next one. This kind of reminded me of a Picasso type of a painting, and I could have included the whole statue, but it had so much energy just in the half from the waist up that it just seemed like it was enough, and it really works with the backdrop of the wall. And I kind of darkened it so it would give it more of a mood than just to have a light gray wall and a bright white statue. All right, so let's go to this last one. Now, sometimes you'll find statues that are next to structures that have lines, leading lines or curves or shapes. And if you can capture the shapes and the curve alongside with your statue, huge bonus, huge plus, okay? And so you can see the curve of this concrete matches the curve of the leg, and then the upright of the arms matches this vertical line here on the right hand side. So it kind of balances it out. All right, and I think we have one more in this statue type. Now, this statue was about a block away next to a school, and it had a small student type statue. And what I really liked about it, it was very playful. And the neat thing about it was the arms mimic the lines in this gate grating here. And it kind of has a flow and balance of the lines on the wall. So try to find lines that accent the statue or that flow with it. And for me, it seemed kind of plain and boring just with the white color and the drab wall. So I played with the edits and I was able to give some color to it. So it kind of made it my own. All right. And so I encourage you to do that with photos that could be more interesting with a little bit of oomph. All right. All right. So you would think that a cemetery would be an unlikely place to find statuary, but there's some really cool statuary that you can find there. Now, this is a picture of a cross that was on someone's tomb, and it has weathered and turned mossy and just really changed over time. But you look at how powerful this is, how strong of a shot. just taking this. Now, I also did a color version, and you can see what that looks like. And it really gives it some really oomph, some strong impact. And the thing that I really loved about this the most is the eyes almost look like they're just looking at something. It's like, that kind of is like, whoa, that kind of freaked me out. So that's why I decided to do this and spend the time on this one. All right, so let's do the next one. Now, there's a Chinese temple in Dumaguete, and it has this big Buddha statue. Now, there's so many different colors everywhere around this temple with buildings and other things that are going on that it's hard to isolate this shot to make a very good shot. So I instead of getting very far back and taking a straight on shot, I took more of an approach from looking down up at the statue, and taking the shot that way, and then isolating the important parts of the scene. And so this worked out really well in more of a balanced way than it would have if I had taken the shot and left all the other distractions of these bright yellow and green buildings in the shot. So always think about the background, and if you can isolate it, it'll make it a lot more powerful. And here's another perfect example. This is Jose Rizal, and everything behind him was distracting, but I did the same type of a deal. He was on a pedestal. I looked down, right? I got down and I looked up and I took the shot, and I just cropped in the most important parts of the elements when I took the shot. And so I don't even think that I cropped this shot. I think this is how it came, pretty much this size, these dimensions out of the camera, and you see how much more powerful that is, just with the basic elements. And a lot of Jose Rizal statues, they're not that amazing, they're not that nice, but this is a really nice statue of him. This is probably one of the best ones that I've seen. And I've seen a lot of them because in the Philippines you'll go to the parks and there's at least one statue in almost every park. This is their national hero, so it's something you're going to see. Now here's another cemetery shot that's really powerful. And here again, I cropped in the scene, and you can just look at how strong this composition is now. And you just see like a mother statue with a small child statue, and they're looking over the cemetery crosses. And wow, that's really powerful, right? You have family that are looking at their loved ones from afar, and they're statues, and it's just really unique. I could have taken the normal shot, which most people would have done, gotten in front of them and shot in front, but this is so much more powerful. So try to find which side of your statue is the most powerful. Is it from the front? Is it from the back? Is it from the side? Look around, inspect through your camera viewfinder where the best focal point would be, giving it the most impact, all right? That's super important. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't. I found this shot by coming around from the back side. That's how I seen this at first. I'm like, oh, look at that. That's powerful. But if I had come from the other side, I might not have noticed this composition because I was still very new in photography. All right. And this other one, this was taken at kind of like a resort, medieval type thing. And this shot just barely squeaked in. I would have liked to have had a little more breathing room around the hands, but there was a lot of distractions in this shot, and it was hard to get it any more in frame without having a lot of distractions. So you do what you can. And one nice thing is the lighting is kind of minimalized. It's not in full broad sunlight. It's not completely dark. There's just enough light to accent it, and that's kind of cool. So when you do your statues, if you have the luxury of choosing the different times of day, inspect it in the morning, inspect it in the afternoon, and inspect that item or statue at night and see which one would have the most impact with lighting. Maybe you want to do one in all of the different lighting types. All right, so that's pretty important. So the lighting, always look for different forms of lighting. Now, I love this Big Chief cigar statue. It was at a vendor in the Philippines, and I took this shot because I just hadn't seen anything like this here. I hadn't seen this kind of craftsmanship since I moved here, and just I was so happy to see this, and in being in a full-size carved out statue. But the thing with this shot is it was in a store filled with knickknacks, and to try to isolate any kind of a photo is extremely hard. But you do the best you can, and if that's all you can do with the rest of distractions, then do that. It's better to take a shot and have it not be exactly what you want than not take the shot at all and look back and not have the memory, okay? So take the shot. That's the number one thing. Okay, now in the Philippines, Jollibee is all the rage. And so this is one of the photography students that I was with, Ryan, and Ryan was nice enough to stand next to the Jollibee and kind of give me a face-to-face type shot. So that was kind of fun. But I photographed this Jollibee many different times, and if you just take the basic photo, it's the same photo everybody else has, and it's kind of boring. And so I thought, you know what can we do to juice up this Jollibee? And so I kind of played with my editing, and I came up with this version, which is kind of a monochrome black and white. Let's see if I can get it to come up here. I just had it. My computer's kind of slow. There it is. Okay. And this has quite a bit of character now compared to just the regular red and white normal Jollibee that everybody sees. And yeah, it's different, right? And that's what we want. We want to make some things that are our own, that are unique. And if you have things that are just plain and boring, but they're interesting and they have potential, then play with the edits. See what you can do. Try to make some art out of it. Now this is one that I did with the same statue, and I really went crazy. And look at how interesting this looks now. Let's see if I can get this to come up. I know some of these photos are kind of slow to come up today. There it is. Look at the different elements that pop up through this now. The background was blown out, but when I played with the sliders, I was able to get just weird dimensions around, but yet the Jollibee still is a fully focused image with different colorization. And to me, this is like a little work of art. It's just so different. It's so unique. And where have you ever seen a Jollibee that looks like this? You probably never have, and maybe you never will. And that's what we want. We want something to be that's kind of special to us, something that has our name on it. Like, hey, that's not just the same shot. It's something kind of unique now. All right? And this I call Sidlican Man. And this is a statue to represent different things in this Filipino barangay type village. And it was just kind of a straw nipa type statue with a little bit of an interesting shirt on him, and just a regular building in the back in the sky. And I thought, that's got some potential. It's got a cool base. What can we do to this cool base to really make it scream? And so I messed with the edits and all the different things, and I was able to get this to have like a psychedelic feel to it. And now it's really something different, right? When you see that, your eyes like, whoa, what's that? I got to look at that. And that's what we want. We want impact. If your images can't always have in a really interesting, strong composition, then turn it into something artful, okay? And that's how Click and Picket, my fine art photography thing, became a business where I wanted to make prints, because I'd make something like this and I'm like, wow, look at that. That's so different. It's so unusual. That would look cool framed on somebody's wall, right? And there's no reason that you can't do this too. And that's why I'm trying to show you these things, because I'm trying to get you to explore creativity, not get into a mindset where, oh, if I take this photo, it has to be a photo and it has to be this certain way. Why? Why would it? Why would it if you can raise your potential to something even more interesting? Okay? You'll always have the basic shot, right? But if you can take it to the next level, then wow, look at you, okay? All right, so that's Sidlican Man. Now the next one is in Dumaguete. They have this 4 or 5 nuns on a boat, and it's symbolic for how the Catholic Church came to Dumaguete, and these nuns came by boat apparently. Now, if you take the whole big shot of it, it's hard to isolate the scene because it's in a park. There are a lot of buildings around it, And the colors for the statues and the things, they're not that exciting. It's kind of blah. But when you isolate it, look what you get. And you choose different parts of the scene to isolate, you can really make it something strong. And this is what I isolated. Now it looks like someone's going on a voyage and somebody back here is waving goodbye. And look at how strong that looks. And I left a lot of grain in the image, and I turned it into a black and white. And it's like, whoa, now this is super strong, okay? And now it's an art print. And that's what we want. I'm teaching you how to take some of your boring photos that would just nobody would care about and turning them into something special, something somebody would want to put on their wall. Not just something somebody would look at and say, oh, yeah, there's the 5 nuns on the boat, okay, blah, blah, blah. All right, and then I did a colorized version for people that like a little splash of color. And this is the color end of it. And so this really pops now with the reds and the blues and the greens. And it even gives more impact to the hand that's waving goodbye. All right? So that's, what did I call that one? I'll have to put it in the edit. I forget what I titled these prints. But something Voyage. Anyway, so I've got one more. Now, the last one is of a Ronald McDonald scene. Now, I can't tell you how many people in Dumageddon do photography and go by and look at the same things, all right? And people that have taken the Ronald McDonald statue photos, click, click, there's Ron. Hey, let's get the selfie. Now, I did that, and I looked at it, and I thought, yeah, that's kind of okay. It's a street scene with Ronald McDonald. But what can we do to it? What can we do to make it unique? And I turned it into this. I turned it into an HDR photo that I blew out and turned it into a black and white. And then I really went crazy. And so now it's something you look at and you're like, whoa, what's this? Oh, it's Ronald McDonald. I've never seen Ronald McDonald look all these different tones and shades, because he's always 2 colors, right? Or yellow. He's yellow and red and white, 3 colors. And then you have the background almost looks a little bit cartoonish. So it's different, it's unique, and that's what we want. Don't settle for plain, boring, and ordinary if you can modify a photo to turn it into artwork, if that's what you want, okay? If not, use the basic tips that I've showed you today to take your statues and make them into stronger compositions. Instead of taking the full shot, if it's not strong enough, isolate the subject down to smaller items, all right? So that's my best advice for statues. All right, guys, there you have it. So oftentimes the things that are the most plain, mundane, are the best foundations that we can use to turn into art. And somebody's art that they've made can be stronger compositions if we look at them in small sections and try to pick out the strong elements of the artwork instead of always focusing on the big scene. All right, so hopefully these tips have helped you to grow. I know they've helped me to grow as I've learned them, and I'm still learning them. So as I grow and learn these things, I'll share as much as I can to try to get you to climb even higher. Now, these tips and these thoughts have taken me years to learn, and I'm giving you all this knowledge that you can just blow through some videos and be up to speed like that. Now, I wish I had those things when I was learning photography, but I get to give back to you, okay? And to me, that is even a bigger asset to gain and then to give, and then I really feel like I have achieved something, okay? And I hope that in the end, your photography will be the same type of a deal where you can give and share of yourself, all right? All right, so if these tips have helped you, please throw me a like. Consider subscribing if you haven't, and for crying out loud, thank you for those that have. So I'm trying to reach 100 subscribers before New Year's. That's my goal. So if you see this and you're not a subscriber, please subscribe. It'd really make my day, okay? All right, so thank you, and let's grow together.
Click, 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 click and a picket. Click, 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 click and a picket. Click, 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 click and a picket. Click, click, click.